What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. We are all tested by life in our own ways. And I suspect the tests are tailor-made, or to look at it differently, we only feel tested in the areas that we are weak. While the stronger parts of us are probably also getting tested, it feels less like a hurdle to jump over in those areas that may be the same or even less difficulty in being tested in our weaker areas might feel like. It only feels like a test when it feels challenging. But not all tests that life throws at us are meant to challenge us in an obvious way. Some are quite deceptive. Some come adorned as everything you could have ever wanted. Some come to test your will. Some come to test your character. Some test your greed. Some test your lust and loyalty. Some test your willingness to endure, your staying power, by presenting you the easy way, the expedient path. Some tests are just those of temptation to fall into any of these pits. What they are also testing is your own standing with yourself. Many of these are meant to just reveal you to yourself and give you a scenario in where you can vote for who you want to be. Are you the kind of person who can be swayed when the noise is turned up by life and its demands are weighing on you? Can life throw you outside of yourself? Will you be willing to compromise with the long-term standing you have with yourself to take on short-term advantages that are in direct conflict with that long-term? Do you move with that volume of the noise, or do you stand with your values? Are you controlled by and ruled by your feelings, or are you grounded to principles? Which one do you think is passing the test here? And this is obviously easier said than done. Hardship is exhausting, and fatigue makes cowards of us all. Not only does the expedient path make the most sense under pressure, which your feelings would only agree with and compound that sentiment, since all your body is designed to do is optimize for survival, it is natural to try and take the easiest way out of every situation, because optimizing for survival now is the only imperative. Whatever gets me out of this current difficulty is all that matters. But on top of the instincts of this ancient brain, we have been evolved and given the ability to think about our past and our future. Meaning, even though now is the most important, because that's all that really exists, we have to negotiate with all the versions of ourselves in the future and how all those future selves will look back at our decisions now like we do at our past selves, and then draw a certain conclusion about our own self-image from that. Meaning, we never really get away with any decision we make because it adds to the collective of information we have about ourselves, which determines how we feel about ourselves at any given moment. Just the simple fact of being able to tell yourself that you are a decent person and worthy is an equation constantly happening and being calculated in your brain by processing all the past decision making and filter through your current mood and negotiate it with reality and your experiences and your effect on the world that you desired to have and maybe didn't have sometimes. And speaking from a spiritual end, I could tell you that you're always worthy, but your brain is always doing this calculation for your self-image. It's very difficult to fool yourself into believing anything about yourself that isn't true or that you don't show up as consistently. Principles then are not something that are picked and played out. Principles are practiced. They are picked, chosen over and over again as data to be added to the equation that continually gets calculated in your brain. Most of who you are is habituated. Principles are no different. We have to practice them to live by them. And so when the tests come, what we've practiced and wired into ourselves through practice and repetition is what emerges, almost as if it manifests from you effortlessly, despite the test, trouble, or temptation, because it is what has been practiced. JP says, bind yourself in rules so you are disciplined to become a spontaneous ethical actor. So the opportunity for us to practice is everywhere. Practice our principles, to bind ourselves in our rules in every moment. Presented to you in 100 different decisions that you make daily that counts as a vote towards who you are and what you will think about yourself for it. Bind it in rules, bind it in your principles, and then that's what you will reflect upon yourself as. And then when the tests come, when the trouble comes, when the temptation presents itself, you spontaneously act as if you would if you were adhering to your principles without having to make the difficult decision in the moment while the test is pressing you with its temptation and its pressure. And I'm not going to define ethical for you, nor can anyone define principles for you to live by, because you have to live by them. That's a self thing. But not picking them is not an option either, or you will sway in the wind. Each situation will leave you feeling like you don't recognize the person you are behaving as. And then you become unrecognizable to yourself. You become unreliable to yourself. And you will be tested regularly. You can count on that. But the passing isn't in the fight against others. It isn't against the specific challenges that come either. Those you can't prepare for, and they don't matter because the fight is against yourself. It's against your own self-doubt, against your excuses, your slack, your laziness, the pliability of your standards. The fight is against the temptation to take the easy path. But if you rehearse your values, your rituals long enough, your instincts will become incorruptible. You will be good out of good habits. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.